Jaya Kunja Bihari
Srīmad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Samaveda Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, I'm reading from Srimad Bhāgavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Ashtapaya Shivatrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Which verse was it? Do you remember? 4. Kali Yuga Brain. Nijagraho jasavira Kalim Vijaye Kvachit Nirpalingadharam Shudram Ganantam Gomithunam Pada Nijagraho jasavira Kalindik Vijaye Kvachit Nirpalingadharam Shudram Ganantam Gomithunam Pada Nijagraho jasavira Kalindik Vijaye Kvachit Nirpalingadharam Shudram Ganantam Gomithunam Padam Pada
Nitigraho jasavira Kalim Vijaye Kvachit
Kalim Digvijaye Kvachit Nripalingadharam Shudram Anantam Gomithunam Pada.
Anyone else? No? Okay. All right. Word for word, please repeat. Nijagraha, sufficiently punished. Ojasa, by prowess. Veera, valiant hero. Kalim, unto Kali, the master of the age. Digvijay, on his way to conquer the world. Kvachit, once upon a time. Nripalingadharam, one who passes in the dress of a king. Shudram, the lower class. Ganandam, hurting. Gomithunam, a cow and bull. Pada, on the leg. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Once when Maharaj Parīkṣit was on his way to conquer the world, he saw the master of Kali Yuga, who was lower than a Shudra, disguised as a king and hurting the legs of a cow and bull. The king at once caught hold of him to deal sufficient punishment. Please repeat. Once, when Maharaj Parīkṣit was on his way to conquer the world, he saw the master of Kali Yuga, who was lower than a Shudra, disguised as a king and hurting the legs of a cow and bull. The king at once caught hold of him to deal sufficient punishment. Purport. The purpose of a king's going out to conquer the world is not for self-aggrandizement. Maharaj Parīkṣit went out to conquer the world after his ascendance to the throne. But this was not the purpose of aggression on other states. He was the emperor of the world, and all small states were already under his regime. His purpose in going out was to see how things were going on in terms of the godly state. The king, being the representative of the Lord, has to execute the will of the Lord duly. There is no question of self-aggrandizement. Thus, as soon as Maharaj Parīkṣit saw that a lower class man in the dress of a king was hurting the legs of a cow and a bull, at once he arrested and punished him. The king cannot tolerate insults to the most important animal, the cow, nor can he tolerate disrespect for the most important man, the Brahmana. Human civilization means to advance the cause of Brahminical culture and to maintain it. Cow protection is essential. There is a miracle in milk. For it contains all the necessary vitamins to sustain human physiological conditions for higher achievement. Brahminical culture can advance only when man is educated to develop the quality of goodness. And for this, there is a prime necessity of food prepared with milk, fruits and grains. Maharaj Parīkṣit was astonished to see that a black Shudra, dressed like a ruler, was mistreating a cow, the most important animal in human society. The age of Kali means mismanagement and quarrel. And the root cause of all mismanagement and quarrel is that worthless men with the modes of lower class with the modes of lower class men who have no higher ambition in life come to the helm of the state management. Such men at the post of a king are sure to first hurt the cow and the Brahminical culture, thereby pushing all society towards hell. Maharaj Parīkṣit, trained as he was, got the scent of this root cause of all quarrel in the world. Thus he wanted to stop it in the very beginning. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagara Raghunathan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasayitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalitam Shri Vishakhan Vitanscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So so Maharaj Parīkṣit is the ruler of the entire world, emperor. Prabhupada uses the word emperor. He's the emperor of the entire world. So the whole planet was under his rule. And he would, being the ruler, just to look out for everything, he would travel everywhere and make sure everything is in the right order. And here Prabhupada says how the king is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And being the representative, he has to do the work of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has to execute the will of the Lord duly. And Prabhupada uses this word aggrandizement. Aggrandizement means when you do things to increase your own fame, your own self-worth, when you do things to become recognized, become distinct in society. So, if a ruler has that nature, then you have a bit of a problem, because he will exploit his position and simply use it for himself to become recognized in society. And here that is not the case. He's going around to conquer the world, but already actually everything is under him. He's just doing the job of maintenance, which is not easy. You know, the Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, they're the personalities with who are taking care of the modes of nature, the passion, ignorance, and goodness. So it's very easy to create something. It's not so hard. It's even more easier to destroy something. But to maintain something requires a mode of goodness. You know, with the mode of passion you can create something. With the mode of ignorance you can destroy something, which has its place, which has its functions. But it's only with the mode of goodness that you can maintain something. And the mode of goodness is predominantly established in society with two things, with brahmanas and cows. When we chant Krishna's pranam mantra, what is it? Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopi Kantaya. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Namo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Ditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namo. That's the other pranam mantra for Krishna. But we chant this when we make our offerings, right, to the deities. Namo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Go and Brahmana. These two are very dear to Krishna. It's not that it's just his favorite animal. There's a reason why it's his favorite animal. There's a reason why the whole spiritual planet is named after a cow. Goloka literally means the planet of cows. They have this movie, right? Planet of the Apes. So our goal is to go to the planet of the cows. But why is that? It's not just some animal, it's not just some sentimental thing. You know, many times people of other religions, they may criticize Hindus, they may criticize those that are following Vedic Shastras because they consider the cow's dung to be very exalted, and they use it for many, many things. Just recently I saw someone covered their whole car in cow dung with like cow dung designs. Actually it looked very nice. But then like all the comments were just people criticizing it. People saying how they're not educated, these people. They don't know anything. For them they're thinking that this is like some feces and you're just putting it everywhere. Which externally it's kind of true, that is what we're doing. So it may seem a little bizarre, especially for someone who's a newcomer. In fact, during Bhishma Panchaka, there is a vrata, where there's 5 days, last 5 days of Kartik, until the last Purnima, from the Ekadasi till the Purnima. So you have Bhishma Panchaka, where you have these vows, where you don't, there's different levels of what you can do, but if you're doing like the 8-year vow, then you don't eat anything for 5 days. The first day you do a full water fast, and then the next day you take cow urine, a little bit, just a little bit, not too much. And then the day after that you take cow dung, and then the day after that you take yogurt, and then the day after that you take ghee, and then the last day you mix everything, and you take that. So there are such vows, there are such injunctions. It says in Hari Bhakti Vilas, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly, but I read it somewhere. Where if you want to do bhajan, real bhajan, then you should be in a room that is covered in cow dung. You know, the walls. And in India they have this tradition, especially in the villages if you go still, where they mix cow dung with clay, and they make like a paste, and they cover the entire room. So the entire floor will be covered with a layer this thick, and the walls will be covered, everything will be covered. In fact, it even works as air conditioning, it even cools the place, and even has many antiseptic qualities also. Even our Indra Prabhu, his room was, if any of you have ever been there, his room was, he would call it a cow dung castle. You know, it's covered in cow dung. And the descriptions of Goloka, the beauty of Goloka, is that everything will somehow be related to a cow. You know, for example, when the gopis decorate their kunjas, when they decorate their special, places in the forests, it is described how they cover the floor with different types of gems and jewels, cut in specific shapes to create like a mosaic design on the floor. Okay? And the way they do it is they do landscaping. They stick it on the ground with a mixture of cow dung and clay. That's what they use as their They don't use concrete. They just use natural ingredients, simple. It's actually really far out if you read the descriptions of how they decorate it. They've cut the stone in such specific shapes that when the moonlight or the sunlight hits the ground, when it hits those jewels, it paints pictures on all the 4 walls. Paints different pictures. So there'll be one picture here, one picture there, one picture here. So you can imagine the science behind how you have to cut the stones and. So in Vrindavan, everything is done with cows. Cows is the wealth. They don't use paper money, which is actually paper has very little value. Such an illusion, no? You have all this paper. This is also paper. This is real paper. This is real value. You know, with this you can understand that all that is just paper. Real value is with gold. But it's such a scam that the banks keep the gold in a reserve and then they give you paper which represents the gold, which is not at all a Vedic system. You know, and in Vedic culture, wealth is how many cows you have. That's wealth. Nanda Maharaj was the most rich because he had so many cows. When Krishna was born, he was so happy to show the opulence. He donated 10 million cows to the Brahmanas. Someone might ask, what? 10 million cows? There's only so many people on this planet. How can Vrindavan is only so much land? If you put 10 million cows there, then maybe all of the land will be occupied. But no, this is real opulence. This is transcendental opulence. Vrindavan's opulence is coming specifically from the cow. And the cows, sorry?
Australia's population is 2.25 million.
There we go, 25 million. So half of the population of Australia he donated in cows. So cows are very, very integral in society. They're very, very important. Practically, without cows, there's no yajna. Because without milk, there's no ghee. And without ghee, you can't do any yajnas. And milk is so wonderful. Some of these cows, they give you so many liters of milk, In the material world, cows are exploited. They're just, they put these machines in the cows in the slaughterhouses and just suck the cow dry. The calf doesn't get anything, and it's miserable. But in Krishna consciousness, that's not how we worship cows. That is actually, you're not worshipping cows. You're doing something very horrible. You're just exploiting its energy. And the milk that you drink from that is actually also not so beneficial. It won't have the same effect because the cow is put through so much stress and difficulty. But Prabhupada in this purport is saying how milk is required for physiological, what does he say? He says, there is a miracle in milk, for it contains all the necessary vitamins to sustain human physiological condition for higher achievements. So Prabhupada has said that milk increases the brain substance. That's what he says. It increases the finer brain substance. And you get intelligence. You get higher intelligence, provided you're caring for the cow nicely. There was a cow in one farm in America. I don't remember which temple. ISKCON temple, our temple. During Prabhupada's time. They cared for the cow so nicely that this cow, without giving birth, without becoming impregnated, started to give milk. Started to give milk to the devotees. Because cow is mother, and mother naturally wants to show affection. Sometimes you'll see even dogs drinking milk from the udders of the cow, and the cow will just stand there, won't protest. No other animal will do that. The cow will just stand there. Many times you'll see some birds just sitting on the cow's head, sitting on the cow's back. It's really mother nature's, and the whole planet Earth is represented by a cow as well. So and cows they give. Why are they opulent? Because of how they can transform just grass, just literally just grass, and they transform it into liters and liters of milk. And Prabhupada has said that if you ever waste milk, then you go to hell. Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, in our Krishna Balaram Mandir, and the milk was boiling over, right? And Prabhupada could hear that sound during the class. The milk was boiling over, and Prabhupada immediately just said, "Who is going to hell?" Just because the milk was boiling over and falling off the sides. This was in Vrindavan. So milk is very important, and cow gives so much milk. Prabhupada has given us a nice system. There's one purport, I don't remember where it is, but it is described. Prabhupada is explaining how we use milk. It says the cow gives so many liters of milk. Everyone should drink to their full satisfaction, and still there will be so many liters of milk left. So all of those liters of milk that are left, you turn it into yogurt. The next day, you turn it into yogurt. You don't let it get spoiled. You never let milk get spoiled. And then everyone eats yogurt to their full satisfaction. And then there's still so much yogurt left over. So the next day after that, all that yogurt is collected in pots and churned into ghee, into butter, you know. And then everyone eats butter to their full satisfaction. And then all the butter that's left over is boiled down and turned into ghee. And ghee doesn't go bad. Ghee is amazing. Ghee, the longer you wait, it becomes medicinal. It becomes more and more powerful. You can buy 20, 30, 40-year-old ghee. It's very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. You know, and they have all these properties. So like this, your storehouse of ghee just goes on increasing and increasing and increasing. And with ghee, you can do so many things. You can cook with it, you can use it. And even bad quality ghee can be used for as an ointment. And in Ayurveda, there are so many medicines that just don't exist without ghee. You know, the nature of ghee and the transformatory powers of ghee with certain medicines, they just don't have that effect if ghee is not there. So this is real wealth. Real wealth is cows. It's just, if you have a cow, you don't actually need anything else. You're completely self-sustained. Prabhupada's idea for this movement eventually is that we become completely aloof from society. We make our own society. It is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And it's supposed to be self-sufficient, and it is supposed to be a shining beacon, an example of how human civilization is supposed to live. You know, so we have so many grihastas in our movement now. Mostly it's a movement of grihastas now. It's very, you know, brahmacharis are becoming an endangered species. You know, one by one they're getting killed. So that's natural. What can you do? We're in the material world, and there's nothing wrong with it. And in fact, grihastas are very useful because they can really establish a society. Grihastas have that nature. They can make something. They can use all their energies and they can establish a society. And Prabhupada, through these purports, he's teaching us this. He's teaching us how we have to establish this society. So here we have this nice temple. It's just starting out. But the idea of these temples, these centers, is that it is supposed to become very broad. Prabhupada, when he bought the land of Mayapur, it was just some rice paddy fields, you know. There was nothing. The first building that came was the Lotus building. If you've been to Mayapur, you would see the buildings have like little signs on them. So there's a building called the Lotus building. And before there was nothing. It was just that Lotus building and a long, big space of just grass, this rice paddy. And Prabhupada said, I want a whole city to be established here. Now if you go today, you can see there's a big city there, actually, practically. You know? And Prabhupada wants us to be self-sufficient, to be independent, intelligent and thoughtful and independent, pushing society, showing everyone. You know, the way this material world works, the way it's functioning, is just completely based on sin. So many slaughterhouses, so many liquor houses. All of these things are just degrading human society. I recently met one devotee friend of mine who was, he's a very nice devotee actually. He's just a little bit covered for a short while. But we used to do Harinam in Adelaide so nicely, and he would chant so loudly and so beautifully. But, you know, somehow or other he got into some bad association, he got into some unfavorable association. And now they have this tranquilizers to put horses to sleep, right? Somehow he just got into the association of people that are injecting this into their own bodies, you know, and he's really suffering right now. He's kind of struggling. And this is what our present government, they facilitate stuff like this. They give people Centrelink money, and there's no real care. There's an illusion of the government being very caring and very, very nice. Australia is a very nice place. We can come here, and people think like that. People think we leave India, leave wherever we're from, and we come to Australia, and it'll be a nice situation. But then sometimes your kids get into drugs, and okay, there may be money, but money is not opulence. Your life can just completely get spoiled. It's kind of very scary. It's a very scary situation. So Parīkṣit Maharaj is going everywhere, making sure that it doesn't degrade, things don't degrade. Parīkṣit Maharaj is going from place to place as a king, and he's making sure that the will of the Lord is being duly just discharged. This is his role. It's not ordinary. And the beginning of ruining civilization is killing cow, is hurting the brahmanas. And it's very interesting over here. Kali Purush, who's the dark personality, who's hurting the feet of the cow, breaking the legs of the cows and the bull. He's dressed as a king. It's a good point to mention. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Please sit. So, this dark person, this Kali Purush, he is dressed in the guise of a king. And Prabhupada then in this purport, he says how Kali Yuga means mismanagement and quarrel. And the root cause of all mismanagement and quarrel, the root cause is that worthless men with the modes of lower class men who have no higher ambition, who have a very short, what do you want to call it, vision to profit. They're not seeing eternal profit. They're seeing prayas rather than shreyas. Yesterday we were doing this Shikshashtakam. Nice. Mataji was explaining. I felt like she didn't have enough time. I felt like she needed at least 15 hours, to explain what she was trying. But the first section was really nice, where she explained what Shreyas means. Shreya Kairava Chandrika. So Shreyas means eternal profit. Prayas means immediate profit, right now. What can I get right now? And Shreyas means long term. What will be lasting? So, why am I saying this? What was I saying? I forget.
Leaders think of short term.
Yes. These leaders that think of prayas rather than shreyas, with no higher ambition, with no long term, they come and they take positions of management so that they can exploit the Shakti. Prabhupada is saying this is the root cause of all quarrel in Kali Yuga. Such men at the posts of a king are sure to first hurt the cow and the Brahminical nature, Brahminical culture. So India was a very auspicious place. It was a very special place. And when the Mughals came, the first thing they did was kill the cows and kill the Brahmanas. Actually, they have read our books. The demons have read our books, and they know that how this can be a complete success. It is a huge threat. So you'll see, there was when the Mughals came, they attacked all the temples because they knew that the temples are the place where they're getting all their Shakti from. That is the root cause of their potency. We cannot penetrate them. We cannot contaminate them. I'm remembering one King Kulashekar Alwar. Prabhupada really liked him. Prabhupada really liked him. Prabhupada always quotes his Mukundamala Stotra. Krishna Tvadiya Pankaja Pankaran, that very beautifully. And King Kulashekar Alwar was a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. He would hear Lord Ramachandra's pastimes. And he was such a great devotee that when they started to read these pastimes of King Kulashekar, of Ramchandra, King Kulashekar would hear them and he would enter into the pastime. Jai. Shri Radhe Giri Govardhan Dhari Ki. He would literally think that I am present in these pastimes. So he's hearing how Ramchandra was so exemplary, he was such a beautiful child, how the whole Ayodhya loved him so much, and he was absorbed in bliss. But Ramayana has lots of tragedies. Yeah, Ramayana is not so, it's not just happy. Many things happen. So when Ram gets banished, when that section comes, King Kulashekara Alvar, he cannot tolerate it. He starts to feel so much pain. And then he's not able to function for weeks. He's not able to do any of his duties because he's just thinking, oh, why did he get banished? So then the persons that were reading, they kept on reading. Then they read that Sita got kidnapped. And at this point, King Kulashekara Alvar became so angry, he raised his sword. He became so angry and he commanded his whole army to go to Sri Lanka. Immediately, right now. And no one could do anything. They were all thinking, well, what do we do? What do we do? And he just immediately went. He got on his horse, he got his whole army, and they're going in full force to get Sita back. And then there were some intelligent devotees who were thinking, oh, we have to do something. So they sent a group and they said, no, it's all right. It's already been done. Everything's all right. They sent a whole army on the other side to come from Sri Lanka, and from coming from there, they came and they said that Lord Ramchandra is victorious. He's already killed Ravan. Sita is back. Everything is fine. Jai. And then they had a huge festival back in the where he was. They had a huge festival. So like this, they would read Ramayana, but they would omit all the tragedies. They were instructed like that. Don't read the tragic parts, because King Kulashekara Alvar, he becomes so absorbed in the Leela that he just wants to go and fight Ravan. He wants to go and do all these things. And over time, actually some of the ministers, they were a little envious and they were thinking that, no, he's not a good king. He's not a good king. Because look at how impractical he is. Suddenly he took his whole army to go and fight a war that happened thousands of years ago. He's very impractical, so we have to do something. We have to stop this Ramayana. We have to stop this Ramayana. He's hearing this Ramayana and he's becoming useless. So what should we do? We should do something. And what they did, these ministers, they decided to do some conspiracy. And they stole things from the kingdom, ornaments and jewels, and they placed it in the houses of the Vaishnavas that used to come and recite Ramayana. They placed all these gold and gems and whatnot. And then they caught them red-handed. They said, look, all of this stolen equipment was found in these houses of these Brahmanas and these Vaishnavas. They have to be banished from this place. And then they went to King Kulashekara Alvar and they told him that you have to banish them. And he immediately stood up and he said, this is impossible. What you have told me is impossible. And rather than hearing this, which is, I know it is untrue, I will cut my throat right now. And I will end my life. This cannot be true. The ministers were like, oh no, we don't want him to die. We just want him to be a good, rule with sanity. And then finally, his intensity, his devotion was so strong that no one could shake it up. No one could deter it. So much so that when they saw this display, then the ministers themselves said that, we're very sorry. We conspired against you. And we did like this. And when he heard this, then it was funny. He thought, okay, enough. And he gradually renounced everything. He lived very, very simple. He went to Ranganath, Srirangam. He stayed in Srirangam and he wrote all these beautiful songs. Specifically Mukunda Mala Stotra, one of Srila Prabhupada's most favorites. One of his very, very dear to him. He was always quoting it. And I'm remembering him because real kings are supposed to be devotees. The whole kingdom was so pleased with King Kulashekara Alvar because he was a devotee. It's very funny, we try to satisfy individuals, and we may succeed or we may fail. Right? We might think, oh, this person, I have to make him happy. But, even you succeed, it's only a matter of time before something happens and that same person becomes upset with you. If you've lived in this world long enough, I'm sure you have experienced many times your most closest or what you thought was your friend turns into your enemy. You know, this is the nature of this material world. And we can put all our energy in trying to make friends, trying to get rid of enemies. But a real intelligent person, it's such a catch-22. It's very funny. He simply cares for Krishna with his whole heart. And by caring for Krishna, by caring for Lord Ramachandra, and by externally not caring for anyone else, everyone else seems to think that this person cares for me so much. You know, actually, so much what gratitude is there for Srila Prabhupada. All of us, we have so much gratitude. And the gratitude is only increasing and increasing and increasing. But from Prabhupada's perspective, from his perspective, he feels he's not doing anything at all. What am I doing? I'm just following the order of my spiritual master. I'm just trying to satisfy Krishna. And the byproduct is everyone else becomes happy. I've experienced, when I was in Vrindavan, for a short while I had to look after there's a 24-hour kirtan there. So, many people have so many problems, funny problems. To do a 24-hour kirtan is not easy. To keep a Akhanda Nam, it's been going on since 1986 till now. That's, what is that? That's 39 years? Is it? Yeah, 39 years. It's a long time. And Akhanda Nam, the Harekrishna mantra, keeps being chanted 24 hours. And it's mostly very young devotees that are doing this service. And young devotees, more often than not, have more problems, They have a lot of small things will disturb them. Like, this person looked at me like this, and that person is not giving me prashad, and he won't let me play the kartal, or he's playing the mridanga too fast, or something, Every day something is coming up, all the time. And I remember they would come and they would complain to me. It would be some new complaint every single time. And what was so interesting is I would listen to whatever they have to say. Just listen to it. And then I would just ignore whatever they have said. And I would just speak to them what I had read in Srīmad Bhāgavatam that day. With no context, no connection, nothing. They've told me their problem. And I've heard it, but honestly, I've just taken it into one ear and thrown it out of the other. And then I just spoke to them whatever Bhagavatam is saying, whatever I read. And they would be completely satisfied. This is the potency of glorifying Krishna. I remember there was one day, I'll never forget this day, because on this day Krishna sent like 10 different people with 10 different unique problems. And I remember to each one of them, I had said the exact same thing, whatever I had read. And all of them were satisfied by the same thing, which in reality, if you look at it with a logistical point of view, it has no relation whatsoever. Because the truth is, our only problem in this material world is forgetfulness of Krishna, is forgetfulness of our eternal nature, our actual constitutional position. And because of that, we're thinking we are these bodies, and then anything that's happening with these bodies, we're thinking, this is my problem. But as soon as you hear Shrīmad Swakatha Krishna, as soon as you hear Krishna Katha, you forget that you're this body. You forget all of your occupational duties, your position in society, your responsibilities, and your problems, and your successes, and your failures. Everything is gone. Because you remember, oh, this is not me. This hearing about Krishna, this what I'm feeling in my heart, just by hearing the pastimes of what Krishna is doing in Vrindavan, what Ramchandra did in Ayodhya, what Nrsingadev did when he came out of the pillar. This is where I'm feeling satisfied, by hearing the holy name, by sitting in kirtan. We've all experienced when you sit in kirtan, and when everybody chants, it changes the atmosphere. So, the other day I was saying, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had said, give up the problem solution mindset. Give it up. Forget it. Problems will never stop in this material world. This material world is Ekpad Vibhuti of the entire creation. And it is exclusively for problems. Krishna has made a place just for problems here. All problems can be here. He doesn't want any problems in the spiritual world, So, Krishna is complete, which means in him problems also have to exist. So, but he keeps it here. It's never going to change. We're not here to change the material world. We're here to get people out of here. Don't be here. This is the duty of a real king. This is why we need cows. So we can have this intelligence. Anyway, I think there's 15 minutes, so I'll open the floor for people to ask questions or make a comment or add something or subtract something. Please, feel free. Any questions? Yes, Prabhu.
No. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay.
You emphasized on, that the problems will be there, but as soon as we are with Srimad Bhagavatam, we don't need to solve the problem because we ourselves become satisfied. And recently I had an experience like that, where we were supposed to be in a meeting, and there was limited time because one of the main participants in the meeting had to leave. He was coming from interstate, and he had come, and at that very same time, Srimad Bhagavatam class started. So we thought some exception would be made for that day, that there would be a short Bhagavatam class, or but the sannyasi taking the Bhagavatam class, he took the whole time. And as I was sitting in the middle of the Bhagavatam class, about halfway through the Bhagavatam class, then just simply by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, I was thinking that even if the meeting did not happen, it would be okay. Because actually our real business is Srimad Bhagavatam. And when the Bhagavatam class concluded, the meeting did happen. And even after that, when I reflect that still Srimad Bhagavatam was the main thing there. And that's what actually our real business is, where the chanting of harekrishnatemple is there and Bhagavatam is there. Everything else is just we doing it to make and facilitate this.
Yes, Prabhu. These two things actually are the only real vastu, only real Krishna in Kali Yuga. What is that verse? Krishne swadhamo bhagate jnana karmadi visaha kalo nashta drisham esham puranarko dunodita. When Krishna left this mortal world, Krishne swadhamo, when he went back to his own swadhamo bhagate, then puranarko adhuno means rising. This Srimad Bhagavatam, it rose as Krishna himself. Well, now the deities are rising. But in Kali Yuga, there is only two things. There is Harinam and there is Srimad Bhagavatam. And like you said, everything we're doing is just to facilitate these two. All of our deity worship, all of our big feasts, all of our whatever we're doing is just to chant Hare Krishna and to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. It will solve all problems. Krishna likes to be a hero, So to be a hero, he sets up a whole stage, a whole drama, and he likes to save the day. So us trying to solve the problems this way and that way and that way and this way, and failing in every single way, will only increase Krishna's attractiveness when we finally take shelter of him through Naam and through Srīmad Bhāgavatam. There's a purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The chapter is Advaita Acharya's branch. I don't remember. 13 maybe? In that, no, 14. In the chapter of appearance of Lord Chaitanya. In that, Prabhupada says that Advaita Acharya was the most ideal grihastha. He was the most ideal grihastha devotee. And everyone would come to his house. Every day, devotees would come to his house to speak about Krishna and to chant his names. Therefore, he was an ideal grihastha. So as grihasthas, actually our houses should be a place where people feel like coming just to speak about Krishna. You should invite people to your house and then just speak about Krishna. And then in that purport, Prabhupada says, our entire movement is based on this principle. Prabhupada says that there. Our entire movement is based on this principle. What is the principle? Simply speaking about Krishna and chanting his names. There's another place where Prabhupada says that Advaita Acharya was the perfect example because every day he performed 3 hours of Harinam Sankirtan. Every day in his house. It's just the program. And devotees would come. That's where we have to go. We have to go to Advaita Acharya's house. Okay. Anything else?
Just the cow temple. I remember my grandmother used to decorate the veranda, like the front of the house, with the cow dung on Diwali. Just before Diwali, I don't know what the tradition is, but
Yeah.
she used to decorate.
If you go to the villages, you'll see every day they put a fresh layer. You know, every morning the ladies will wake up and they put a fresh layer of cow dung.
Really nice.
Yeah. And if the cow is happy, the cow's body smells like gur, like sugar. You know, the cow is taken care of nicely. You can see if you go to Vrindavan, if you see a nice, they look so effulgent, they look so nice. You go and smell them, they smell like sugar. And their dung doesn't smell. It just has no bad smell. Such an amazing thing, you know. Generally, waste produce of the body smells very bad. We all have experience every morning, right? but the cow's body is a wonderful thing. All the 33 million demigods reside in the body of the cow. Yeah. Even Ayana Prabhu had done such a nice thing. He made designs. Now that building is gone, but there was the Gurukul building where it just used to look like a brahmachari ashram. Just an ordinary brahmachari ashram, but it was so dry and dull, you know, like just corridors and white tube lights and just like nothing, no life in it. So he transformed it practically into an art gallery, you know, he transformed that whole area. You've been there, no? No, you never went there? Ayana Prabhu's room in the ashram. So no problem, it's okay. So he made all these like birds and trees and cows and different things, gopis and gopas and Govardhan hill, just by with the arrangement of cow dung and clay, shaped in a way that it changes the whole atmosphere. So even the waste product of the cow is auspicious. You can't imagine everything else is also. In fact, it's the most auspicious. Yes, protect the cow. One day maybe, who knows, maybe there'll be like cows in the back. That would be very nice. One little Goshala. Right. Okay.
You don't need to do mowing annually.
Exactly. You don't have to mow the lawn. Imagine you mow the lawn and then you have all this waste grass which you just throw. You have cows, they're mowing the lawn and they make paneer for you. Like, wow. Jai. Okay. Grantaraj Srīmad Bhāgavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Nitaya Gaur Premanande. Prabhupada ki.